Hi guys, I think Darren Jones is a great politician. I've seen him do amazing work in the House of Commons committees where he grills the hell out of bosses who have funneled money to shareholders instead of protecting workers or delivering a service at a reasonable price to consumers. I've seen him speak truth to power in Parliament and deliver passionate speeches on a whole range of issues. He was, however, challenged by Victoria Derbyshire on child poverty and how a future Labour government would deal with it. She talked about a record number of children who are close to destitution. He was asked what the manifesto contains to fix this, and it didn't go well.
Government figures estimate that 4.3 million children, or 30% of all children in the UK, 30% of all children in the UK are in poverty. And you cite those figures in your manifesto. But then there's no plan. What is the point of a Labour manifesto without a plan to combat child poverty?
Well, look, child poverty is a tragedy for the country, but also for every child and every family who's affected. And I know how difficult that is, having grown up in those circumstances.
So you think there'd be a plan in your manifesto?
That's why we set out in our manifesto today. So that's why we've set out in our manifesto today a number of initial measures which we know have a direct impact on family finances. For example, free breakfast clubs at school, an enhanced offer on childcare for parents who want to be able to get to work, the banning of Section 21 no-fault evictions for families kicked out of their private rental accommodation, which often spirals families into those poverty situations, and a commitment, yes, to bring together government to put together a child poverty strategy that's fit to meet the needs of families across the country.
Okay, pause there then, please,
tackling
Mr.
child
Jones.
poverty is never easy.
So, and a commitment, right? So you're going to make them wait. You're going to make these kids in poverty wait for your economic growth, which may not come.
No. So the free breakfast clubs, the ban on Section 21 evictions, the measures we've announced in our first 6 steps will be immediately implemented if Labour wins the election on July the 4th. Those are all fully funded and fully costed in the way set out in our manifesto today. But we recognise those are first steps. That's why we call them first steps, and that we want to deal with the structural issues this country is facing so that people can feel the benefit of change from Labour if we win on July the 4th.
Okay, before we continue, I want to go through some of the things that he mentioned here. First of all, free breakfast clubs. Now, this is different to free school meals. Free school meals is breakfast and lunch. But free breakfast is, okay, it's a good first step, but it obviously leaves out a lot of children who don't have access to complete meals. So you're giving them a breakfast, but you're not giving them a dinner. You're not giving them a lunch. And, of course, many children would require a lunch as well. So this is, of course, is a cost, but if you have it costed, if you said this is how we're going to pay for it, then it isn't really a problem. Now, you also mentioned about enhanced childcare, but we've already heard from providers of childcare that there isn't sufficient funding and they don't have the staff. So you may talk about how it's costed, okay, but where is the staff going to come from? Because the providers have said on a number of occasions there aren't enough workers to do the extra work that is required. Now, you also mentioned the banning of Section 21 or no-fault evictions. So this is good news for renters, but I'm not sure how this would help people who are, for example, renting from councils and are struggling to get by, or perhaps people who are living with their parents. They're struggling to get by as well, so they're not really protected by this. And then he also mentioned a child poverty strategy, which Victoria Derbyshire rightly pointed out, like, how long is this going to take? How long do children in poverty have to wait before they're seen to?
How many children will free breakfast clubs lift out of poverty?
Well, we know, for example, that many children are coming to school hungry, and that's unacceptable for them, but it's also unacceptable for their education. And so that's why we're going to make sure that free breakfast schools are available, breakfast clubs are available in every primary school across the country for children that want to access them.
And how many will it lift out of child poverty?
Notices of family.
Okay, this is a bit of a stupid question. It's a bit of a gotcha question because free school meals is not going to lift children out of poverty. It's part of a package. So I'm defending Darren here a little bit. He could have easily said, look, it on its own is not going to lift children out of poverty, but combined with the others, it will, or it's designed to.
Well, the breakfast clubs will be available to all children who go to school, so they'll be able to access them if they wish to do so.
Yeah. And how many will it lift out of child poverty?
Well, it depends on how you look at family finances. As I say, there's a package of measures in the manifesto today that will support families, especially those in vulnerable work with our new deal for working people.
You don't know, do
where
you?
people have irregular incomes or irregular shift patterns.
You don't know.
But
let me tell you what the Resolution Foundation say. If I may, sorry.
Sure.
The Resolution Foundation, which used to be run by one of your own Labour candidates, children in families, 3 or more children, now make up a majority of the total number of children in poverty. They say abolishing the 2-child benefit limit would take 490,000 children out of poverty. So that is an 11% reduction in child poverty overnight. You even have Suella Braverman calling for the cap to be abolished. And Nigel Farage, it would seem, on the ITV debate tonight. Yet you, Labour, won't promise to do that.
Well, that's because the difference between the Conservatives and Reform and Labour is that our policies are fully funded and fully costed. That has to be what people expect from any party trying to form the government at this election. And look, would I like the economy to be in a better position? Of course I would. Would I like a Labour government to be coming into a country where we've got plenty of tax revenues to be able to spend on all the things that we would like to do as the Labour movement? Of course I would. But the fact of the matter is that we will inherit the worst financial situation that any party has inherited since the Second World War. We're going to have to do the hard yards to turn that around, and that means that yes, we've got those 6 steps that we want to get started with immediately, but it will take some time to turn the country around. I think people at home recognise the fact that we can't just click our finger and change that immediately on day one. But our plan for change today and our manifesto sets out how we're going to do that.
Yeah, I'm sure voters do recognise that, and they may also recognise that you are making a choice. You could fully fund and fully cost lifting the 2-child benefit cap, and you are making the choice not to do that. That's right, isn't it?
Well, these are trade-offs. We've made the commitment not to increase taxes.
He really walked into that one. Yes, there's a trade-off. On the one side, we're not going to increase taxes. On the other side, we're going to allow children to remain in poverty. Like these policies that he's mentioned, this plan, will help alleviate some aspects of poverty, but not all of them. But the 2-child cap, eliminating that will bring so many children out of poverty. And how can we get to a stage where it's, well, do we really want children out of poverty? Is it too expensive to lift children out of poverty? This is a future generation we're talking about. This should be a priority. Why is it not a priority? Because what Labour are saying is, what we're going to do is we're going to implement fully costed, fully funded policies. Then why is this not a fully funded, fully costed policy? How can you put a price on poverty, on fixing poverty? How can you say it's actually too expensive to lift children out of poverty? Like, I'm not attacking the Labour Party here. I'm attacking the concept of people looking at poverty and saying it's too expensive to fix. You know, during the pandemic, when it was necessary, homelessness was pretty much eliminated. And then when the pandemic was over, people were pushed back onto the street. Like, the government could fix the problem. It wasn't just a case of throwing money at it, but they were able to, within a very short period of time, were able to eliminate, in a pretty broad sense, eliminated homelessness. Because it was necessary. Because it had to be done. Why is child poverty something that doesn't have to be fixed? Like, there are so many policies that Labour have said that they have costed and funded. Why is child poverty not one of them? Like, as he mentioned, free breakfast meals is a drop in the ocean. Enhanced childcare is costed, but we still don't know if it's going to be fully implemented. No fault evictions, that doesn't even have a cost. You eliminate it with the stroke of a pen. So why, as something so important as child poverty, why is that not costed and funded? In a society, we can't look on and see children in poverty. It's a stain on our society, like homelessness or general poverty, the use of food banks or warm banks or whatever. This is a stain on society. There's no justification for saying this needs to continue. I really hope they do a U-turn on this. I really hope that they take a step back and say, actually, this is a policy we'd like to include in our manifesto. The manifesto is already out, but this is something we want to eliminate. We want to eliminate child poverty where possible, but we want to have a fully funded, fully costed policy in regards to this. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.